what do you guys think Kentucky's doing good? I haven't asked enough questions of you guys. Like, what are
Oh
some of
yeah.
the things maybe you can inform me what you guys think they're doing well?
Well, I think one of the things we hit on that we talk about a lot and that we hear a lot is that people are just so willing to help here, and that kind of goes back to what you mentioned about humility and being willing to ask. You know, anytime we need advice about something, I know Evan takes advantage of this a lot as he's starting his company. But in general, anytime we want to talk to somebody about what they're doing in this area, it's just very open. People are always willing to share their experiences and share their stories, and I think everyone does want to help and wants to pitch in. We kind of have that culture here in Kentucky and in Lexington and Louisville. It's just finding the most effective way to do that, the most effective way to deploy resources. And you mentioned these things like Leap and KSTC and all these other different entities. I think I have to assume that they're doing their best and they're doing what they think is right. And just finding the way to deploy this capital in the right way and make the changes that could ultimately propel this state forward. That's not a job that I would want to be doing, but I think our leaders are doing what they can right now, and I think that just everyone wants to be helping. It's just sometimes we don't know
Yeah, I'd
exactly how.
say I agree with like the everybody wants to help because everybody I think is realizing that we're in the early stages of
Mhm.
becoming a great startup and technology ecosystem. So you got to give before you get right. So everybody realizes that they've got to really give to the community before there's really any kind of major quick improvements or scaling. Um, and then one thing that I enjoy about Kentucky is I've had the luxury of traveling to major cities and spending a lot of time in New York and living in Los Angeles, and there's a pace of life about Kentucky that is really refreshing as an entrepreneur. You're not getting pressures from the culture of what you might have in a Los Angeles or San Francisco, where you get the extreme pressure of you need to raise money maybe even before you have a product, or you need to hire. We're going to measure your company success on how many employees you have, and this and that. And there's a lot of pressures that come along with a big market. And here in Kentucky, because one, I think you hit on it earlier, and it's kind of a weird thing to say, but the nature here, the ability to see greenery and just get out of a city and just drive and just think to yourself and hike and things like that's important. That plays into that feeling, but just the cultural pace of life is nice, because you don't necessarily need to live in a New York or a Los Angeles to have that hustler attitude, but I think you need to live in a place like Kentucky to get out of it, to kind of escape it, and I love that about Kentucky, and so that's what I've noticed.